Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josey. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josey. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josey, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is creative financing options when your credit sucks. RAIN Nation, first of all, let's take the shame out of this. Bad credit is not a character flaw. It's just a snapshot. And in real estate, you do not need a perfect credit score to be a badass investor. You need a strategy, a solid deal, and the ability to solve problems. Because here's the truth. Banks lend based on you. Creative financing is about structuring the deal so it works based on the property, the seller, and the terms. Here are 5 creative financing options to know when traditional lending is a no-go. Number 1, seller financing. This is when the seller acts as the bank. You make payments directly to them instead of getting a mortgage. The seller is making the decisions, not a lender. If they want monthly income and a smoother sale, they may care more about your down payment instead of your score. Number 2, subject to. This is when you buy the property subject to the seller's existing mortgage, meaning the loan stays in the seller's name and you take over the payments. You're not applying for a new loan, so your credit isn't the gatekeeper. However, your job is to structure it correctly, protect the seller, and make those payments like clockwork. Number 3, lease option. This is when you lease the property with the option to buy it later at an agreed price. This gives you control now and time to improve your credit, stabilize income, or create equity through improvements without needing a bank approval on day one. Number 4, my favorite, private money. This is borrowing from individuals like family, friends, or even people in your network. Private lenders care about the asset, the plan, and the protection. If you can show a conservative ARV, a realistic rehab budget, and a clear exit strategy, you can get funded even if your credit is a hot mess. And number 5, partnerships and joint ventures. This is when you bring the deal and someone else brings the credit, cash, experience, or all of the above. You're not trying to be the hero, you're building a team. Structure it with clear roles, clear splits, and everything in writing. Just because we're friends is not a contract. So, RAIN Nation, here's the badass bottom line. If your credit sucks, you don't quit, you just get creative. Learn the tools, find the right sellers, build relationships, and focus on being the kind of investor who performs, communicates, and follows through. Because real estate rewards problem solvers. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today's guest is Justin Ford, Director of Safety and Certification Programs at Breezeway, where he leads global short-term rental safety initiatives focused on training, certification, and inspection standards. With nearly 30 years in the short-term rental industry, Justin has become one of the most recognized voices in the safety space, helping property managers, hosts, and even government stakeholders better understand how to reduce reduce risk, protect guests, and build trust through smart systems and real-world standards. He's trained thousands of professionals and hosts around the world, and what I love about Justin's approach is that it's practical. No fluff, no fear tactics, just clear guidance on what hosts actually need to know to run safer, stronger short-term rental businesses. If you own a short-term rental, manage them, or thinking about getting into this space, this conversation is going to be packed with takeaways you can use right away. It's my pleasure to have him on the show, so welcome, Justin Ford.
Hey.
Hello.
That is awesome. I'm really excited to be here.
I am so excited you're here. So I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I just want to say, I want to quickly make sure people understand safety can be a boring word. You're going to have a lot of fun. Don't tune out just because you're like, oh, safety.
That reminds me of that game in high school where someone, like, they would fart or something and go safety, and you had to, like, touch a doorknob. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm thinking of... That just went...
I'm in. I'm not willing to try.
We already knew this conversation was going to go south right away. Justin, seriously though, I am so selfish that you are the very first. I met you just a couple weeks ago at the Host Connect, which was the first ever short-term rental conference run by some friends of ours. And I met you there, and the speakers at this event were so high level, but you were one I was the MC of the event. You actually did a presentation in the other room. So I missed your presentation. And at the end of the 2-day event, like 75% of the people, when we said, what was your biggest takeaway? Justin Ford, I have all these safety things I need to, implement now. And you are the talk of the town, let me just say. So because I missed it, you are the very first person from there that I'm like, I'm just selfish. I need to hear what this is all about. So give us a little background on Justin Ford.
Yeah, so I've been in the short-term rental industry for almost 28 years.
Wow.
I've been a real estate investor. I know, isn't that crazy? I get ID'd for alcohol once in a while. It happened the other day, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
But I say that because, like, an Airbnb is just the name of it, but they've only been around since 2007. Are you talking about, like, short-term, like, beach places and things like that, like, before Airbnb really came about?
This comes up from time to time. It drives me crazy. People think short-term rentals just appeared when Airbnb did.
I get that.
George freaking Washington, the first president, he stayed in vacation. Like when he was busting up and down the eastern seaboard, whooping the British butt, he was staying in people's home and paying them money. That was a short-term rental. So they've been around for a long time. And yes, I came along when our industry was still, if you had a place to rent, you advertised it in the back of a newspaper and people mailed you checks. And then you kind of went, I'm kidding you, this was amazing. You would get checks in the mail and you got to be God. You got to decide which house they're going to stay in. They would list like their top 3 choices, and then they came for a week or a month, and then they left and you mailed them back a deposit within 30 days or they drove you nuts. That's what it was like when I first got started.
That's amazing. All right. So why safety? Like, how did you specifically get into the safety and certification side of this business?
I haven't really talked about this before. I feel like you're the right place to talk about it. Some of it in the beginning was kind of a crutch. I served in the U.S. Coast Guard, so people hear that, oh, boating safety. Yeah, kind of. I was a volunteer firefighter for 15 years, but that's all about like putting the fire out and helping out at car accidents and stuff. I didn't really get started in safety until I realized that I feel like I have some common sense, and yet something really bad happened to me as an operator. I used to own and operate one of the largest vacation rental companies on the entire Eastern Seaboard.
Oh, wow.
Top 15 in the US at the time. So it was a very big company, over 600 properties. And I had a safety incident that involved a hammock. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm a pretty smart guy. I think I know what I'm doing. And yet this happened to me. How are these other operators dealing with this? And I started looking around and realizing that they were having trouble too. And so I developed what became our industry's first safety checklist. That was in 2014.
Okay.
That safety checklist is now used all over the world. It's in 72 languages. It's incredible.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I put that together and off it went.
What happened with the hammock?
So, eh,
Is
in
that
in a nutshell, this is a reminder that people come in all shapes and sizes in our industry. I did not anticipate that someone who was heavy set would plop down into it. I didn't do close examination to realize it was rusty, and it collapsed on her and caused a very serious and life-threatening injury. She actually coded. Yeah, it was very serious injury, very, very big. And I was the one who set up the hammock.
Oh,
And yeah, it was life changing in so many different ways. Life changing in that it put me on the path that I'm on today. Life changing in that it made me realize that we've got something to do in our industry to do better, but also life saving in the sense that it put me on this path to home safety. And I know you introduced me as an expert in short-term rental safety. Actually like to think now too that it's been home safety because I hear so many people that have taken action on things I've said that have saved lives or prevented injuries in their own homes. And that's you want to hear some, I mean, I know we're going to talk about a lot of badass things, but just by someone listening to this podcast today, statistically, someone's life is going to be changed, probably
oh,
more than, and that's cool. That's badass.
that is badass. Well, I want to think I'm pretty protected. I'm only down to 2 short-term rentals right now, and I have the fire extinguisher under the sink. I have the carbon monoxide detector. I have the fire detector. Like, what am I missing?
Yeah.
A lot, aren't I?
You're making this too easy for me.
And you know what? It's funny because I don't even have a gas line run into my cabin, but I still have a carbon monoxide detector just for the guests feeling more secure just from that alone. But I'm sure I'm missing so much. So set me straight, Justin. Come on. What
Well,
are the
real quick,
biggest
just
trends right
because you
now?
opened on that, the only thing you didn't do wrong there, and I appreciate that, is you didn't call it a CO2 detector. I hear that all the time. I'm like, CO2 goes in your beer. It's just CO. So you nailed that. But yeah, the fire extinguisher under the sink. The only people who have ever put a fire extinguisher under a sink are people who haven't used it. And the number one thing that people say when they had to use a fire extinguisher is, I wish I had another. So most of the time, putting it under the sink, we put it under there just because everybody else is doing that. You go in
Okay.
and you've seen it. You haven't done that because you've actually used it. So the fire extinguisher should be out mounted. And if it's in a
Oh,
short-term rental, it's code, all 50 states, that it has to be in a bracket, visible. And if it's not, code does allow you to put it under the sink, but you got to put a label on it. But that still doesn't make sense. Code hasn't adjusted for short-term rentals yet. And most sinks have the back or close to the stove. The stove's where the fire is going to be. So really, you're going to rush into the fire and put your back to it to
okay.
get down. And yeah, so yeah. And they're
Justin.
smoke detectors and smoke alarms are two totally different things. So that's all. Smoke alarms are typically what you see in your own home or a short-term rental. It's both detecting smoke and sounding an alarm. Whereas in a commercial setting, you're seeing smoke detectors. They're remote units that detect smoke and then send to a central command that then sounds the alarm. I know that sounds
Yeah.
nerdy, but it's really important people
It
know the difference.
it is important, absolutely. So where was I going? Oh, in my cabin, for example, it's 486 square feet. It's a tiny cabin, and I
Yeah.
try to only rent to adults. Now, there are laws where I can't turn away infants. So I don't have any kids. I'm allergic to kids, so I don't want them and their dirty fingers in my short term rentals.
Yeah.
But I do know that's a whole other set of safety rules and things. So, what if I do have a toddler that comes with, a couple? What are things, let's just talk toddlers, for example. What are things that I need to do? Or is there a different way that it's all structured?
Yeah, there's a different way it's all structured, but I don't mind entering it from this angle.
Okay.
First and foremost, we've got to assume that every guest will stay there. It's the general public.
Okay.
I was just at a vacation rental in New Zealand doing some work there, and I arrived on a long, late flight via Fiji. I was exhausted. I got in at 1 in the morning. I had stopped at like a 24-hour store, grabbed the pizza. I'm trying to microwave this pizza. The microwave's not working. I can't get the oven going. I'm like, I don't think I'm that stupid. There's something not wrong here. I went to the electrical panel, which was weird looking. It was all on. Finally, I realized there's a light switch behind the microwave that controls the oven and you have to turn on a light switch. We don't do that in the US, but
Oh my
that's
goodness.
common over there. The point I bring that story up for is even the most intelligent person coming into your property is not going to see it the way that you do. And if I was from New Zealand, I would have known. I would have instantly gone over and gone, oh, there's a switch somewhere. I'm not. So we have to recognize that no matter how much we want perfect guest A and perfect guest B to stay in our tiny home, reality is someone over 300 pounds is going to stay there. Someone over the age of 70 is going to stay there. Someone who's got a toddler is coming there. And so no matter what, you've got to anticipate all of them being there
Okay.
and what happens.
All right. So let's start with toddlers. What, like,
Yeah.
do I need to put those little things in the outlets? Like what?
No.
Oh,
As soon as you do that, you set the expectation for the guest that you've done everything to make it childproof. So you
okay.
want the parent to do that. You don't ever want to childproof your property. That's up to the
Sweet.
parent to do it.
Good.
But that said, you brought up a good point. What do we have to anticipate? Well, the number one phone call, according to a Washington Post research article, placed from a short-term rental is to poison control. So it's not just, those pods that look like candy. There was a deadly fire at a short-term rental not far from where I am because kids found matches. They were 7 years old. They found matches in the kitchen drawer while their parents were sleeping and played with them because in their own home, they lived in an apartment in Chicago. They'd never been exposed to them before.
Wow.
So there was hazards there with that, with candles. So you've just got to anticipate. The strong word here, anticipate. Again, the general public, people you've never met, you may never meet, and you may never see again, are walking off the street to stay in your investment property, and what can go wrong?
All right. So what am I not thinking of? Give me the basics here.
Well, first and foremost, we got to start from the basics, and that is it's not fire. I wish we could say that it is because that's what prevention in the United States focuses on. Reality is about 3% of incidents that happen are fire related. They're more serious. You hear about them more because they're sensationalized. Oh, this Airbnb burned down, big fire. Oh, it's horrible. But the reality is over 80%, somewhere around 83, 85% of all incidents are slips, trips, and falls. Most of them
Hmm.
happen within the first hour of arrival. And so what do you got? What happens? What happens when the guests pull up, get out of their car? Can they see their way in? Is the walkway even? Do you have good lighting? Is the steps going up? Do you have a handrail? Or do you have some big mud mat that's going to trip them that makes absolutely no sense? All of these things are part of the focus that most hosts and operators completely miss and leads to so many lawsuits and insurance
All right.
claims.
I think I'm pretty good there. I do have a motion sensor floodlight because it's in the
Right.
woods, my little cabin.
Yep.
I actually put up a split rail leading, from where they park so no one stumbles down the mountain and it's all level. So I did have it kind of dipping at one point, but we put stones in there and leveled out the area. But yeah, I do have that motion sensor one. I'm thinking about my
Like
beach
it.
property. Yeah. So I think I'm
So,
pretty good there. All right.
but here's what I want you to do to make sure you're good. Go to your property at night, show up, and take a suitcase that weighs 50 pounds and walk it into your house holding your cell phone in one hand and then the luggage in the other. And I will tell you, I hear from people all the time that it's mind blowing how much it changes everything. They didn't realize that walking down the path, dragging the luggage, which goes over to your left because you're using your cell phone to read the access instructions, that it was forcing them to walk around a rock or a bush, and now they've twisted their ankle. I actually had someone, I feel really bad, but it's good that we learned that they actually reached out to me and said, I got injured doing what you suggested I do at my own property. And thank God I did. My ankle got twisted and I've got a big bruise and I'm icing it, but I realized where my guests could get injured too. So yeah, that can
All right.
happen.
What's second? So getting
Uh,
into the property.
Yeah, second is getting into the property. When we get in, or first, but second really then quickly moves into every different direction. Grill fires are huge, barbecue grills. So many hosts and operators are putting these barbecue grills too close to the property, underneath. I see them under decks, up close to the siding, and they all do it because they don't want to go too far in the rain or something. I don't know, but they catch on fire. We had 9,000 plus grill fire related incidents in our industry last year. I hear about them all the time. Big,
Well,
big problem with barbecue grills.
I interviewed a gentleman who had a beach property that he had just finished a $150,000 renovation. And I think it was his second guest from, this brand new property that he fixed. They had moved the grill from the back of the yard and put it right up next to the deck. They put all the burners on, closed it, and forgot they turned everything on. And so he starts getting notifications on his phone, and you see that little Airbnb icon pop up, and he's like, oh, okay, it's probably just, and then he sees the neighbor calling him. He's like, dude, your house is on fire.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh. And then the insurance and all that. I mean, that's a whole other part of that episode. But I don't have a grill. That scared the shit out of me. I don't have a grill. I have a fire pit that is down switchbacks.
We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about it.
It is way the hell at the bottom of the property next to the water feature, the little creek through the property, so that it's nowhere near there. And I get complaints, do you have a grill? I'm like, hell no, I don't have a grill. Yeah. So what are the best practices for people who have grills?
Yeah, and just a quick pause. I want to make sure we know. I love short-term rentals. My family has one. I believe in them. In fact, most importantly, you can make your property safe. It's the one thing you can actually achieve with your property. Because as you know, there's always someone who doesn't like the mattress, the view, the Wi-Fi is not fast enough, your cable TV package isn't right, whatever. But the one thing you can do is make your property safe. So I believe my approach to this is let's find a reasonable way to make it work. So I just don't want people going, wait a minute, this guy's anti-STR and he's going to say no to everything. I don't. And so when it comes to grills, first and foremost, we have to get them in a safe location. Something you brought up, and it's a common reason we see a lot of fires, is because they're left on. Deadly fire in the Outer Banks that killed 6 people a little while ago was because they left the grill on, went to bed, cleaning it. I actually just ordered a timer for my own personal portable grill. There's a company that just started making those. I'm going to test it out. It's a 1-hour timer. But if you have a hard connected gas grill, absolutely 150%, call your gas company right now and have them come install the timer on there. That's a 1-hour timer so that the gas isn't left on. But then from there, we see, because they're not cleaned very well, the worst thing I keep seeing, it's driving me crazy, is people put aluminum foil on the bottom of the grill because they think it makes it look clean. It's like you're putting a Band-Aid on some nasty fish gut, steak grease grossness, and you think that's clean, but what you're actually doing is you're blocking the drainage of the grease and you're creating a lake. And so we've seen a lot of flare-ups, grill fires as a result of that absolutely horrifically poor approach to grill maintenance. And then the other one is making sure you've got the right tools there. Believe it or not, those grill brush bristles, that's a tongue twister. They fall out of the plastic head that they're in and they get lodged in people's throats. I know a person that happened to. It's a horrific surgery that's involved going down into your neck to pull out of your throat these metal fibers. Get rid of those. I don't even know why they're selling them anymore.
Why was it in their mouth?
Because it gets left behind on the grill when they scrub the grill, and then it gets into like their food, their burger.
I thought they're like,
no, they're not. Yeah, they're not brushing their teeth with it. I know it looks like one. That'd be really rough. No, they fall out and get on the grill. So you make sure you're switching over to. They're only like $12. They kind of look like a Brillo pad, and they don't have pieces that fall out of them. So we can go. I can do an hour on grills, trust me. But
could you? So the gentleman that I had on the show can he just lock the grill to a?
Yes.
Okay. So is that
personally, depending on some markets, like up in the Smokies, there's a lot of markets now. They want them on those posts just like at a
Mm-hmm.
state park.
Yep.
And I like those. They're a little more expensive. That's what I would have if I was in that situation. I've seen a lot of operators that will use a dog tie. So what they'll do is put the grill out in the yard or in a safe location. And if all they have is ground, they'll screw the dog tie into the ground and then use a bike lock. That way the guests can't move the grill too close to the
Okay.
house to catch it on fire. Or they'll secure it to like a post or something like that with a bike lock. Again, just so the guests aren't moving it too close to any structures.
All right. So number one, 80% is people getting into the property carrying a 50-pound
Well, slips, trips,
luggage.
and falls, but overall,
Slips and
slips,
falls.
slips and
Yes.
falls.
Then grills. What is number three?
Appliance maintenance throughout the property, leading to a lot of incidents. Guests bring dust into your property. That luggage we were talking about, it's been in an airplane rubbing against everybody else's luggage. It's in the back of the rental car. It's in the back of your car with hair. We found that people traveling and staying at Airbnbs bring as much as 30% more dust into a property than the average occupant of the home that lives there full time. And so all that dust gets clogged behind refrigerators, causes refrigerator fires. That's what happens when the refrigerator coils get too covered in dust, they overheat. We see that bathroom vent fires are very common because all the towels, all the laundry they're doing in there, you've got to be cleaning those out so much more. So we've got to pay attention to all of our appliances and doing a really good job with maintenance, more than you do on your own home. You're supposed to clean your chimney once a year. If you've got an Airbnb that you've got guests coming and burning firewood in all the time, clean it twice a year. And if you clean your dryer vent at your own home every 2 years, and you've got an Airbnb at the beach, make sure you're cleaning that twice a year because all those, those towels they sell at the Russian beach stores, those things will clog the heck out of
Uh,
your dryer vents.
well, I told you before we hit record, as soon as we stop this podcast, I'm headed to the beach.
Yeah.
So, which is one of my short-term rentals. What are some things that I should do as I'm there today? What are things I need to look for that are possibly on your checklist?
So one of the things that I like to do for someone who's approaching this for the first time, they're going, "Holy smokes, I'm listening to this safety guy and I'm going to die right now." That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to make sure you understand is if you take this all on at once, it's going to overwhelm you and it's going to be too much and you're either going to go too far. I hear this sometimes happen with couples. There was a woman who heard me who's like went home to her husband and we got to do all this. And he's like, "We're not doing any of that. That guy's crazy." So break it up into life safety and then injury prevention. So when you get to your beach house, first thing you've got to make sure, and please do this in your own homes too, make sure you've got the best possible smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms. The only thing you can get for free from Consumer Reports on their website
Hmm.
are all the smoke alarm test ratings. And they're like cars. There's a reason, I like a Jeep. It's a fun vehicle, but we all know they're a death trap. If you roll over them, you
Exactly.
take that risk on so you can have some fun and have the top off. I get it. You don't do that with smoke alarms just because you walked into Home Depot or Lowe's and, oh, that one's $20. That one looks pretty. I'm putting that up. No, there's a whole science to this. You've got to put the best smoke alarms in your property.
All right. Anything? What else should I be checking? Like, what's on your checklist that I need to make sure I'm
Oh,
walking
my
through?
checklist is 77 points, but it's going to start life safety. It's going to be
Okay.
carbon and smoke alarms, fire extinguisher, pool alarms. Pool alarms are the number one. Do you have a pool at your beach house?
So that's another question for you. So do you do anything as far as the liability of stuff? So I have an HOA where there's a pool. Is that any part of, because I actually prefer paying the HOA fee because they have the pool, they have the grills, they have the gym, all those things. Because I think that's less liability on me. Am I false in thinking that?
Yeah, it was fun because at the conference you and I met at in reference, Katie Johnson was there. She's the STR lawyer. She and I just talked yesterday too. There's a lot of liability in this industry, and you've got to pay attention. So if you're with an HOA, you need to understand what the HOA is insured for, what they're
Yeah.
covered for, where the boundaries are. That's nothing you mess around with. And I've
Right.
seen it. I've seen it before where an incident has happened, and come to find out that wasn't within the realm of the HOA, and suddenly the operator's on the hook, and the operator's insurance company's going, we're not covering you for that. That should be the HOA. It got locked up in a lawsuit for 3 years. They couldn't sell their property. And even if they could, it all would have gone into escrow until the lawsuit was settled. It's a nightmare. So you've got to have your ducks in a row. A lot of these HOAs are way behind too. So if, let's say I was just in Maui in Hawaii, a lot of the condos are old there. There was a condo that the guardrail was not to code. It's not meeting current codes, but and it's under their realm, but you're walking into someone's short-term rental where you're exposed to that. So I urged them, and they did. They went to the insurance company and said, we want proof that says the HOA is covered if someone goes over this handrail that's not to code. And instead, the HOA put a new handrail in, so it forced their hand. Yeah, forced their hand on that.
So have you seen any like recent changes or updates in the actual just short-term rental safety space that hosts or property managers need to really be paying attention to right now?
Yeah, this is something that's really good from an investment point of view. If you're paying attention to the industry, you know that Gatlinburg, Sevier County in Tennessee, which is one of the biggest vacation rental markets,
Pigeon Forge, yep, all that
yep,
area.
huge in the United States. They've put in heavy regulations for higher occupancy properties recently. And in fact, some of you may have seen these properties that are for sale that are offering seller credits of like 60, 80,000. And you're like, wow, that's cool. And then you realize it's because it now needs a sprinkler system. That's happened there. That's happened in Palm Springs, California, a little bit in New Orleans. It's happening all over the country very slowly, especially in the markets where they're the most. Anna Maria Island down in Florida, that whole West Manatee County. So it's coming. The best thing you can do right now is to set up your property with all the best safety features you can, because eventually it's going to hit your market. Your property is going to be worth a lot more when you go,
Oh.
hey, we've done all these things. It's a good investment right now to make sure you've got the right egress windows. If you're doing a major renovation, it's so much cheaper to put a sprinkler system now in with PEX tubing, and it's so much less expensive because of these new modern construction methods to do that. And it's coming. It's coming all over. I'm on committees for IRC, International Residential Code. I'm on committees with NFPA that are trying to write, because right now, short-term rentals are not in any building codes. They want them in there, and it's going to happen. Be prepared.
And you said that's for higher occupancy?
Well, they started with a lot of markets have focused on higher occupancy. Vermont was the first state to do that. They decided, wow, some of these houses that are basically operating like a hotel that have 16, 20 people in it, it was, you go on Zillow and it's a 4-bedroom home and you're like, how the heck are they putting 25 people in there? It's because they've converted the garage into, 20 bunk beds and open up a wall and a closet. So they said, that's not okay. So they've been going in and starting to regulate at those higher occupancy levels to address that, but it's going to trickle down.
Do you see anything else that's like coming down the pike that we should start focusing on now instead of scrambling later?
Yeah, I think guests are starting to pay attention. This is one of the biggest challenges, and I talk about this a lot. I think, imagine this, and you would never do this, but imagine you reached out to your guests the night before they check into your tiny home or your beach house and said, hey, you're checking in tomorrow. I've got a gift basket for you. Here's the code. Here's the Wi-Fi password. And by the way, the smoke alarms that are in my property are 8 years old. I haven't checked them in like 4 months. And I think I've got like that little cheap Ever-Ready battery from Radio Shack that went out of business in there, but everything else is great. They would never check in. And the reality is that's true for over 1 million short-term rentals in the United States. And so guests are starting to pay attention to that, and operators are starting to get it too. When you turn on the news at night, it's not someone died in a hotel again, someone died on a cruise ship again, someone died at a resort again. The news is constantly filled with all kinds of bad press about short-term rental fires, short-term rental shootings, parties, pool drownings. And here's the thing. This is probably the coolest nugget, and I shared this at the conference. They did a survey. 62% of people who have never stayed in a short-term rental, they would never stay in an Airbnb. have cited the reason being safety. Imagine what would happen if you start marketing and saying, we have the best sprinkler system, we have the best smoke alarms, we've done all this. I know you normally want to go stay at the Four Seasons, but come stay in our Airbnb. We can assure you you're going to have a safe stay.
Justin, that is huge. And I would not ever think to include that in my listing description of how safe the property is. And even at that conference where we were is all about the amenities that are offered and how cool the designs of things. But I think putting in that blurb about how safe the property is and how you are up to code on everything, that is just so very important. And I'm also on the builder side. So you have my head spinning of how am I going to start putting sprinkler systems in these things? So without naming any names, do you know of some common mistakes that you see hosts doing over and over and over again?
I just saw it today and I called somebody out. They put a post up on Facebook saying how great their property is, and it has one of these popcorn maker carts. They're like $299 on Wayfair. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That thing's been recalled. The model they were showing has been recalled. And then on top of that, there's 2 pages of warnings for it. That product was never designed to be put in your rental property. And yet they've got makeup remover things. They've got a gift bag. They've got all these little things and references to their favorite restaurant. And I just sit back and go, you've put all this time and energy into all this useless stuff I've never heard of. And I challenge any of your listeners to reach out to me. I'll give them a $100 Amazon gift card if they can prove that someone said, you know what? They've got makeup removers, a gift bag, great Wi-Fi, but there's no popcorn maker and they don't have a unicorn float in the pool. I'm not renting from them. That's not it. No one has ever said that. So you've got to recognize that you can, maybe I'll let you in your marketing photo put a rainbow unicorn horse thing in your pool, maybe, but not until you've addressed safety. This is the hospitality industry. I know that investors want to call it real estate investing, but when you invest in a short-term rental, you've entered the hospitality industry, and hospitality starts with taking care of your guests. You can't take care of your guests unless you put safety first.
So for the listeners out there right now, what is a good system or habit that we can put in place to make sure that we're providing a safe experience for our guests?
Do my checklist.
Okay. How do we get your checklist?
Yeah, so I developed and wrote this safety course back in...
I have your course. Is it in the course?
Yeah, it's in the course. Yes. My checklist is in the course.
Okay.
The safety checklist that I developed turned into a company. I sold that company to Breezeway, where I work now, and then all my safety checklists are in Breezeway. Now, here's the cool thing. I never planned for this, first and foremost, but one of the coolest things that happen is when you have these checklists, they're going to keep you out of trouble, because we live in a litigious society. Even if you do everything right, someone's going to sue you because they showed up and the lights weren't working or whatever. You've got to keep good records because they want to prove you were negligent. And so that's why I work at Breezeway, is that all my safety checklists are in the software. And now you have records so that, here's a documentation with geotag, date time stamp photos that my cleaner took, that she changed all the smoke alarm batteries back at the beginning of March when we sprung ahead our clocks. And it's all documented here. Your Honor, I'm not a negligent operator. I have proof. We've cleaned the dryer vents. We've cleaned this. We've done all these operations. And so all my safety checklists are in my safety course.
Very good. And how do they find that? How do they find Breezeway for anyone who wants to get in touch and learn more?
Yeah, so I'm crazy when I give it out because it floods me, but my email address is really easy, safety@breezeway.io, because Breezeway is a tech company. Email me, you heard me on here, and tell me that you care and you want to do something better. I'll give you free access to the safety course. It's $350. Write me and let me know you care. And don't have AI write it. I can tell when you're using that AI thing, those dashes in there.
The double dashes.
The double dashes
the
in the
emojis.
line. Give me two sentences why you care about your guests, and I'll give you access to the free safety course.
You are giving them for free. I'm so very impressed because this is an extensive course. I started it. I'm like,
So It's the most, get this, it's not only the most intense home safety course in the world. Home safety, just homes, because other than that, the only focus on home safety in America is for like elderly people when they're doing independent living and things. And it's
Mhm.
not nearly as comprehensive as what I go into. But it is now the largest certification program of any kind in the short-term rental industry globally. We have it in Spanish, Central America version. I had someone in Bombay, India reach out to me today that's taking it. So they take it in Australia, New Zealand. I've been to Hong Kong with it. It's very universal. It goes above and beyond all government regulations because it's pulling in the insurance side of things as well. So
Well, as an educator, I love how you started off and you say, these are all timed, and I can see how if you've actually watched everything.
yeah.
So you are not getting the certification unless I know that you went through each one. So I do love that you do that. But before we go into the second part of the podcast, which is what makes Justin Ford a badass, tell me about fire pits. What am I doing wrong with fire pits?
So fire pits are really bad. First and foremost, if you have a gas fire pit, you need to have strong notices that say no cooking on them. So many kids are injured, and a lot of people have
Did
this
you say
perception.
gas fire pit?
Gas
Okay.
fire pits should not be cooked on.
Okay.
Stop. No marshmallows, no wieners, none of that stuff. Stop cooking on fire pits that are gas. But we have
Mine's
to
not gas.
recognize.
Mine's wood.
Okay, so wood's fine, but you got to have a bucket, and the bucket
I
has to
have a
have.
bucket.
Do you have the sticker on the bucket?
What does the sticker have to say?
Okay, so you go onto Canva and you create a QR code that links to your local fire permitting or local weather, whatever that it is for whether you're allowed to burn or not. That way, the guests scan the QR code on the side of the bucket, know they can even have one to begin with. And you can also have a video that you upload. Take your cell phone, hold it in front of you, and go, hey, I do mine. Hey, this is Justin. Before you start making a fire in this fire pit, here's a few things you need to know. Then the second thing that we've got to focus on is making sure nobody's going to fall in. The most likely incident from your fire pit is someone falling into it.
Okay.
So many of that happens. Kids are roughhousing around it, trying to get closer to burn, their marshmallows. Chairs are too close. So we've got to make sure that there aren't any obstacles. And I like a taller fire pit,
Mm.
as tall as you can get them, because that keeps people from falling into them.
Very good. I have a sign posted before they even ventured down, because, like I said, it's down switchbacks to the very bottom of our property that says you are entering at your own risk, but that's still not going to cover anything. And then I also say that it's not maintained. Like, my cleaning people are not going to go down there; they have to maintain it. But I do have the bucket, and it is actually locked on a chain to a tree so that it's not going to go anywhere. And I don't provide firewood, so I make them have to work to actually light that fire. Okay, what am I
Yeah,
doing
but
wrong?
well, you got to be careful there because it's green firewood that causes a lot of issues. So just make sure that's one of the reasons why you kind of sometimes think about supplying it. Make sure they're only doing dry because green firewood shoots out a lot more sparks, which can then lead to burns and other issues.
Oh
So
my goodness. Oh, all
something
right.
I know. I'm just hitting you, I'm poking you from every angle here. But
It's
these are just all things to think about. But once you get it all lined up, and sometimes I hear people go, "This is just overwhelming." I'm like, "You ever worked in a restaurant? You know what food safety's like?
oh,
Do you
that's
know what
true.
the guys over at Southwest Airlines have to go through before they can even load a bag on an airplane? 2 weeks of safety training. You've had none, and you think you have, but the guy coming in kindergarten to give you the red plastic hat and that being like your graduation for home safety, no, that's not enough. You've got to do more than that."
Well, I appreciate you poking me with these rules because these are so very important and just should be standards across the board. And this is definitely a part of our industry that we need to absolutely put more focus on. So I want to get into the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Justin Ford a badass, which you are, except you only have one string hanging from your hoodie. So I
I
don't want
know.
to go.
I'm gonna fix it after this interview. This is my newest sweatshirt. I really like it. And I'm like, damn, what happened here?
You
It's
crack me up.
really, yeah, it's like spinning away out.
All right. Well, the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life? Are you a book reader?
I'm not a big book reader. When I
Okay.
do read books, I do like to read true history stories. Like I'm into like what some guy who got through World War II by climbing over mountains after he escaped out of prison, that kind of stuff. It's inspirational and motivational. You
Is
think,
that the Sound of Music?
that no, but that it's like that. But it gets harder. Like their plane crashed and they had to survive through all kinds of bad things with the Germans and whatever. But more recently, and I'm not really a big reader of things, more recently, I will tell you the Checklist Manifesto. It's a book that came out in 2009. It's always kind of kicked around, and people in business sometimes look at it. It was written by, for the healthcare industry. I think it applies so much to the short-term rental and real estate industry as well. Just when you realize that we we human beings just want to cut corners, and this book kind of shows you that just cutting those corners isn't worth it. And you've got to do these things. As a reason why, airlines have checklists before pilots before they take off. And so that's a big one. I would encourage people. It's an audio book too. I think it's
Huh.
only a couple bucks. So
Nice.
Checklist Manifesto is a good one to listen to.
Very good. Well, you've given us an amazing amount of advice on this show, but I'm curious. The second letter is A for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Giver's Gain. Someone came up to me,
Ah,
boy, I want to say probably around 2006, 2007. Said, Justin, we're doing a little networking group here. You're the local vacation rental agency owner. You want to be in our group? We only let one person from each type of business in. There was
mhm.
a banker and a chef and whatever. I came in and they're like, giver's gain. You go out and you help other people and don't expect anything in return, and it'll come back four times over. And I honestly believe that happens even more. So that's how I've built my life right now is, yeah, when someone wants something, because I'm a tall guy, when they want something off the top shelf, I don't hesitate to reach up and get it to them. And, one day I was doing that, reaching up on the top shelf, and there was a $50 bill up there. I have no
Oh,
idea why it was up there. So I figured that was my payback for the 20 times that I've helped people get something off the top shelf.
well, that is awesome. I love that. Giver's gain.
Giver's gain.
Excellent. I love it. All right. The D in badass stands for drive. So, what drives you to be successful?
It used to be so many things, but right now it's the lives that are saved.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's listening to your podcast will reach out to me in a month, 2 months. Hopefully nobody does, but it does. It happens. Hey, I had someone the other day that reached out to me because they realized that their mom didn't have any carbon monoxide alarms at her home in Salt Lake City. She installed them. 2 days after she left, her mom called her at 1 in the morning repeatedly, and the daughter answered. She's like, "Mom, what's going on?" She's like, "Those stupid alarms you got, they're all going off." And it turned out that there was a carbon monoxide leak in the house. If she didn't have those alarms, the fire department said she was about 15 minutes from passing out and she would have died. And
Oh
so
my
when I
goodness.
hear that, that's what drives me. It's what other thing can I just try and hope people hear and see and listen to that they'll take action with, that just our lives are precious. They mean a lot to us. If there's little things we can do to make sure that we attend to it, that's the only way to go.
That is awesome. And thank you for being here just for that alone, because lives will be saved from this conversation. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So, what is a goal you are currently working on?
I would say that I'm trying to create as much awareness around the pool drowning issue that we have. It's simple to address. 25-cent stickers, water watcher programs, so much can be done. It's absolutely ridiculous how many people globally. It's not just a problem in Florida or Arizona, which is where we see the most of them. We're seeing them in Greece, Croatia,
Wow.
Portugal. So we've got to do better and have better products. I'm trying to inspire someone. I'm getting a little old in life to start over again on something, but I'd love to see someone invent a pool alarm that helps
Ah,
address our industry.
wow. I love that. All right. The first S in badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
I'm not good at this. I'm kind of all over the place. Probably if someone was paying attention to what I was doing, they're like, Justin, you gotta reel it in. I'm trying to do too many things at once. And it's hard. but I would say probably the best system that I have is the network of supporters that are out there, and the relationships that I've built with other people that understand what I'm trying to do that help me carry the message forward. So, and I stay close touch with them. If I, like when I see you, you're getting your drink, whether it's Coca-Cola or a glass of wine or whatever, I take care of people that are helping with the message.
That's how I first met you, was at a happy hour. You're sitting right across from me. So
did I get you a drink? Because I bought some people a drink. My bill was
I was
really
not drinking
big
because I had to be on the next day. I was the MC of that event, so I was not drinking. But yes, there was lots of drinking going on that night.
I had $169 mojito, and I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, you picked up the tab for all. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, great, thanks.
Well, Justin, I could talk to you all day. This has been so eye-opening, and I know so many of the listeners are just going to be emailing you immediately when this airs, but the final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to Justin Ford?
Success means that our industry, the short-term rental industry, identifies that safety comes first. And if we can address and focus that, it's going to solve all the other problems. And we've seen that happen in our industry. It's going to take away the trash issues, the parking issues. It's going to remove all the partying issues we have in our industry. And it's going to address affordable housing. Because if you don't want to get on the bandwagon and make your property safe, you're going to sell it. And there you go. Now somebody can buy and live in it and addresses that. Safety solves all of it. And I can't wait to see that success before I climb into the ground for the last time.
Well, I cannot thank you enough for being on here, because I was so bummed I missed your presentation at the Host Connect, and so I am truly grateful you are here today and sharing your badassery. Once again, how do the listeners reach out and get access to that course, which is so very important?
Yeah, just email safety@breezeway.io. You can follow me on all the social channels. I'm under the channel for short-term rental safety on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And just another note, if you do want to catch me live, I'm participating in the VR Nation's Southern Charms Roadshow this spring in May. I'm going to be speaking in Chattanooga, Pigeon Forge, Asheville, the Outer Banks, Charleston, and Myrtle Beach. So those are all some quick spots. I'm speaking in Denver, London, Burlington or Stowe, Vermont, and Park City, Utah coming up as well. So
oh my goodness,
you can find me in all those places as well.
Well, if you pass through Raleigh, going from Pigeon Forge to the Outer Banks, I will get you a $169 mojito as well. So
that sounds good.
Justin, this was so amazing. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josey by visiting therealjenjosey.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.